Hey, what's up? Welcome to my Reader's Journal. In this video, I'm going to be reviewing a book that I read at the beginning of this year. It is We Were Never Here. Author is Jennifer Gilmore. I picked this book up years ago. This was back when I think I first started college. So this is 4, 5, 6. I want to say 6 years ago I picked this book up. It's been on my shelf ever since. Never grabbed it, never touched it. And then this year I have a reading goal of reading 100 books. So I was like, you know what? Let's start with something that's been sitting here forever. So I grabbed it, and this is the first book that I ever read this year. And I am devastated to say that I did not like this book. So the reason why I grabbed this book in the first place is because it does have a good premise. So I'm going to go ahead and read it for you. Did you know your entire life can change in an instant? For 16-year-old Lizzie Stroller, that moment is when she collapses out of the blue. The next thing she knows, she's in a hospital with an illness she's never heard of. But that isn't the only life-changing moment for Lizzie. The other is when Connor and his dog, Verlaine, walk into her hospital room. Lizzie has never connected with anyone the way she does with a handsome teenage volunteer. However, the more time she spends with him and the deeper in love she falls, the more she realizes that Connor has secrets and a deep pain of his own, and that while being with him has the power to make Lizzie forget about her illness, being with her might tear Connor apart. So, again, good premise. When I first read it, I was like, you know what? I'll check this out. And then I didn't check it out for another 6 years. But I finally did this year, and like I said, I was devastated that I didn't like it at all. The only reason, and I'm gonna tell you right now, the only reason why I am rating this 2 stars and not one is because of the premise that is in the back of this book. This premise tells me that it's going to be a story of a teenage girl who's obviously has an illness that she's never heard of. She's going through that, but then she also falls in love with a guy, and that guy has his own past and secrets or whatever. And I'm like, you know what? I'm hooked. I gotta check it out, and I checked it out, and I wish I didn't because I don't know what this author was thinking. I don't know what Jennifer Gilmore was thinking when she wrote this, because a lot of the times you're going to read these stories and they have a message. The protagonist, Lizzie, is supposed to learn something. She's supposed to have a character arc. She is supposed to relay a message to the audience that this book is for. This book is for teenagers. Primarily, I would assume teenage girls. So, what message is she really relaying? I don't know. Because essentially, what ends up happening is Lizzie ends up in the hospital again because she collapses and everything, and she meets Connor and the dog, and right away she likes him. Now, teenage person liking a teenage boy, not out of the blue, not weird, so fine, that's fine. But then throughout the rest of the book, instantly, and I mean instantly, they both like each other. She tries to get to know him more, and he is very reluctant. He tries to be kind of like mysterious, and I don't know if that's really the right move to have for him, because for the rest of the book you have Connor giving red flag after red flag after red flag, and as a reader you might think, hey, maybe Jennifer is writing a book where the protagonist is learning to take in those red flags and then dip, and she doesn't. She's literally Lizzie is falling more and more and more in love with the dude, and she is blatantly ignoring every red flag. Like, she is more colorblind than I am when I'm trying to find the name of the damn author on the cover page. She every red flag, and I cannot express everything that this man does. So spoilers. I mean, you shouldn't read it, but spoilers. He keeps ghosting her. She gets out of the hospital, and he's like, "Hey, we're I'm not gonna see you anymore," and he ghosts her, and then he hits her back up, and then they meet, and then essentially they hook up, and then, kid you not, the next morning he ghosts her again for like, I don't recall if it was like days or just weeks, but for a long period of time. And then he calls her again and says that like he um, was back in town because previously the reason why he ghosted her the first time was because he went out of town because he ended up going to boarding school. But he came back, he got kicked out, and then he's been in town for the whole time, but like he just never told her. But then he finally hit her up because he's gonna leave again, and I'm like, why are you doing all this? Why are you going back and forth like ghosting her, but then like you're roping her back in, and she doesn't learn. Lizzie doesn't really learn anything in this book other than how to take care of multiple pets because this girl at the beginning of the book has one dog, uno, and then the dude gives her a pet turtle. Mind you, does she know how to take care of a turtle? No. And he does this right before her surgery. So what if she dies at surgery? What happens to the turtle? Does he take care of the turtle? Does he know how to take care of a turtle? Is it expected that the family then takes care of the turtle? I don't know. So she comes out of the surgery successfully. She obviously has this turtle. And then later in the book, like I want to say halfway through, she has the idea of getting a new dog. I don't recall why, but she does. So now she has two dogs and she has a turtle. At the end of the book, when she meets up with Connor again, because he wants to say goodbye, he asks her to take care of his dog, Verlaine. So now the dog that he had, she is now taking care of because she said yes. So now she has three dogs and a turtle. One of the dogs is from her, I assume, ex boyfriend, but it's also not clear because I don't know if in the future they're going to get together. I have no idea. But she has three dogs. One of the dogs is from the dude that keeps ghosting her and has been a red flag the entire book. And I don't know what Lizzie's supposed to learn from this. And then on top of that, so obviously red flag number one was he essentially took her to wasn't a cabin. It was like a lake house. Is that what they're called? Lake house. They spend the night. They do the deed, and then the next day when he um, drops her off back on land, he disappears. So that was like obviously red flag number one. Not number one because he's had red flags before, but red flag number one. Red flag number two. Remember when he was trying to be mysterious? She was trying to get to know him, and he was like, "Nah." But then he finally agrees. He's like, "Okay, I'll tell you about my past." And this is what he does. He tells her about the time when he went outside. I forgot for what reason, but he was outside. It was like nighttime. And he witnesses a car running over a little girl. And he's like guilt stricken because he wishes that he could have done something for her. And I think that was his main motivation of why he volunteers at the hospital and why he takes Verlaine so he can help the people that are in the hospital feel better. But guess what? That was a lie. That was a damn lie. This man is the man, and we found out later, he is the one that ran over the girl. So he's not guilt stricken because he couldn't do anything. He's guilt stricken because he ran over a little girl. So that should have been red flag number two, realistically. Three. Because red flag number one should have been that he didn't want to open up. Two, red flag number two was he finally opened up, but he lied to you. Flag number three, he ran over someone. He ran over a little girl. Flag number four, he did the deed with you and then dipped. Flag number five, he keeps ghosting you. Flag number six, this man drops his dog off for you to take care of him. And that's it because he's leaving and you're not going to see him. And that's what frustrates me about this book because I don't know what story it was actually trying to say. I don't know what story it wanted to be because it's not romantic. The character doesn't learn anything. And like I said, the only reason why this book is not getting a 1 star review is simply because in the back of the book, the premise that I read to you had potential. That is my distinction between giving a book 1 star and 2 stars. If I give a book 1 star, it's because it should have never been made. It didn't have any purpose existing, whatever. That I hated it, despised it, and it just shouldn't have been made. That's a 1 star book. A 2 star book is, yeah, I didn't like it, but it had potential. If someone else had written the book, if I had written the book, if literally anybody else had written the book, it would have been better. And this wasn't good. Like it, the premise was good. The premise to me is solid. That's what I like about this. The premise is solid, but that's where it ends because you have a main character who doesn't learn, doesn't grow. You have the boyfriend who's really an antagonist. Not that he's doing anything maliciously on purpose that I know of, but everything that he's doing is wrong. And you know that as someone who's older, I'm 24 now. As someone who was 24 reading this, I'm like, why aren't you doing anything? And if your argument is, well, Lizzie's 16, I don't care if she's 16. It makes sense that she'll like him right away. It'll make sense that he would like her right away. But him ghosting and doing all that back and forth, she should have been like, nah, I have faith that 16-year-old girls are smart enough and at least mature enough that when someone keeps going back and forth, they will be like, nah, because that's not cool. Like, I don't know what message this book wants to do. But yeah, I'm gonna end it here with this book because I have no idea what else to say. Like, I already said what I had to say. I didn't like the book, and I don't see a reason why I would recommend it to anybody. So I'm going to pack this up, take it to Half Price Books, and then we're gonna let somebody else handle this because I don't know. I don't know, guys. I This book frustrated me, and the fact that this is the first book that I read this year, I was like, wow, we can really only go up from right here. So I am happy to say, ever since I read this book in January, I have not read a book that is at this same level. So for the foreseeable future, the upcoming videos will be more positive. But this one was just, it's a whole different beast. And one thing before I forget, you have a friend in here. No, let me rephrase that. Lizzie has a friend in here that she has at camp. The night that this girl is going through it because she collapses and essentially her stomach is just in pain the whole time. This friend that is at camp with her goes in to check on her, but not really check on her. The most she does is just talks about boys. Boys, 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 and boys. And speaking of boys, again, I understand 16-year-old girl. Alright, fine. But why is Lizzie crushing on 3 dudes in this book? She's 16. She's crushing on 3 guys. There's a guy at camp. I don't recall his name, but there's a guy at camp. There is a guy at school that she was crushing on. And now there's Connor, the guy from the hospital. And again, I understand. 16-year-old girl. You just gotta believe it. They're gonna crush on guys. Fine. But like, I don't know, there wasn't it's like it came off to me when I was reading it as desperate. Because it's one thing to be like, oh, that guy's cute. Or, oh, I really like his vibe. Cool. But 3 guys? in a span of one book that she's crushing on. Like, the romance is desperate. Desperate enough that she's blind to the red flags. And I don't like it. I don't like it. I did not like it. To make it clear, I didn't like it. So I'm gonna end it right here. These were my thoughts on We Were Never Here. I really wish that I was never there because this book is insane. I hope you guys at least enjoyed my ranting. If you want to see more, go ahead and subscribe, leave a like. If you have by chance read this book, go ahead and comment and see what you think about it. If you have any comments about anything that I said, go ahead and comment. But that's all I have for today. Thank you for watching. I really enjoyed ranting about this, and I will be back with another video soon. So until next time, see you.